Can you recall what some of the challenging part and how did you overcome while you're applying?
Yeah, I guess the hardest part about applying for MBA is not your GPA, it's not that GMAT test that you have to take. It's about coming up with your unique story. And I believe everyone is different, and um, and and you and coming up with your unique story from your unique experience. I think that's the hardest part. It took me like 6 months beforehand to think about a couple of stories that about myself, about all my life journey, and um, it's gonna only be 3 paragraphs that I will write to the mission officer. So how do I articulate that story so that they will be able to understand it right away? That's the hardest part about applying for MBA. I think the best way to do it, as for myself, would be writing a journal myself to be able to uh, record your thoughts every moment, and I keep my journal with me, and I have any ideas, I write it down. Yeah, and then sometimes you can reverse engineer it. If you can create a certain persona for yourself, if you truly believe in that persona, you can actually reverse engineer, and you know um, for example, if you're an entrepreneur, you can think about ways to um, make that persona more complete. And in the process of doing that, you will achieve a lot just by completing that persona. And I think that's the getting in is not the best part. The best part is about preparing to get in. That's the best part. And in the meantime, you will find yourself achieve many things that you don't think you might be able to achieve. So
Thank you.
I'll go next. I think personally, I think the hardest part is like, because everyone's applying as like a second semester senior, and everyone knows that like senioritis is hitting, and you're like kind of out of the woods. You might have a job secured at this point. I think it's kind of like being able to buckle down and sacrifice that time in order to go ahead and apply. It's a pretty time-consuming process in terms of like you gotta study for the GRE, you gotta write your essays, you gotta like really keep a meticulous schedule. While maybe some of your like friends are out and having fun, but like if you are able to like put your head down and like commit to it, I think you're like much better off because of it, and it's definitely really worth it. In terms of the resources I utilized, I reached out to a lot of like the current MBA students because I think they have insider knowledge that you won't be able to see on their websites, and just being able to gauge their experiences in that way. I've also like taken some MBA courses at Haas, so I've met a lot of like the really amazing like Haas students that are like have already gone through the process, and definitely like tapped into my network that way. And lastly, also like Karen gives really great advice. I think I bother her like once a week, every Thursday at the Haas courtyard, so you should definitely do that. But yeah.
And then for me, sorry if there's some background noise. It's raining like cats and dogs right now. For me, transparently, I suck at test taking. Like it's not my cup of tea. So I'm the type of person that has to like take 300 practice tests to feel really confident in my abilities. And just one thing to highlight, you guys don't need to take the GMAT. You can take the GRE. And if you're considering dual programs, like dual degree programs, some schools do not take the GMAT. So just keep that in mind if you're thinking of like doing an MPH with an MBA or something like that. And it's not looked down upon. I've done my due diligence. I've talked to so many people about it. Like I know so many friends who've gone into these other schools as well with the GRE. So like you can apply with the GRE. And so if in terms of like a resource like that really helped me prep for the GRE specifically, and I wish I found out about this sooner or late, like sooner, was Greg Matt. He charges just $5 a month, but he improved my test score by like just practicing his schedule and using like his videos and thinking the way that he kind of thought about like different questions and stuff really helped me. I literally had like a 150 on my GRE score, which is pretty bad. And then I ended up with like I think it was like 164 or 165 because I was grinding at his materials for like a month and a half. So it's amazing. Like, please use that resource. Second thing is I'm also not the best like writer. I will say I'm pretty good at like storytelling, but I feel like I'm not the strongest person when it comes to like translating that into writing. So what I would do is with three different friends, I would like first like in terms of like brainstorming and ideating on like the different like topics and stuff like that, I would just like rant to them and they would like have a notepad and just like write down things that I was saying. And then we kind of created a structure of like how I could approach like each question. And then I would take like a first stab at it, a friend would read it, then I would take another stab at it, incorporate their feedback. But it's very important to not get so much feedback because you don't want to change your storyline. That's another thing. And then the third thing is all these schools have like similar questions to each other and like similar like styles. There might be some different nuances. Create what I would do is like look at the schools that you want to apply to, write down all the questions, see where the common themes are, group them into a bucket, and just start writing. Like writing some like brainstorming thoughts and on each question. And then you can like literally copy and paste like each section, but like if it comes to like why Haas or why Columbia or why I think like you have to do your research for sure because these admissions folks can smell BS from a mile away. So how do you kind of like validate that as well is talk to the MBA students that are currently there and alumni. Like learn about their stories, be curious about like why they chose those schools. Ask like the deeper questions to really figure out beyond what you see online, like how you can really envision yourself in their experience. And it's gonna come translate. Like you doing your homework there is gonna translate into those type of questions. So yeah, that was a really long response, but that's a transparent and honest response.